So Final Fantasy is out, it's been out for a while, everyone's had a chance to enjoy it, and I am retooling a deck using some Final Fantasy cards. Now, I have a clerics deck, and I couldn't help but notice all of the cleric support in this set. My clerics deck has been one of my longest standing decks, it's one of my favorite to play, it's one of my favorite creature types in order to build around, and I discovered something kind of fun. So, especially with these two, sorry, I'm not super familiar with the characters, at least in lore, but these two characters, or these two cards, actually, prioritize saga creatures. And we got a lot of these guys, a lot. And one thing that I've been really interested in is the fact that they're really, good costed creatures with really solid abilities, and in some cases they want you to reanimate them. Or just remove the counters, but, hear me out. What if we just reset the creature? Meet my most current clerics deck, Nakara and Yannick. So what these guys do is Nakara says that whenever a creature leaves the battlefield, if it had a counter on it, draw a card and lose a life. And Yannick says when it enters, exile a creature until he leaves the battlefield and distribute X11 counters where X is the creature's power. So saga creatures have counters. This interaction means that Summon Titan will allow me to distribute 7 more power onto the battlefield, resetting him should Yannick leave the battlefield again, and Nakara will draw me a card. It can get a little tricky, but the deck was already about flickering, so it was all about exiling a creature and having it come back. So resetting a saga creature will not only draw me a card with Nakara, but it'll also reset the creature so that way we can just keep using it again. And enter the battlefield effects are really powerful, especially with creatures that don't stick around like this. A sneak attack deck that I've had for even longer is basically kind of like, hey, I won't be able to keep this guy, but it'll allow me to keep applying high pressure, and I like this because it means that I can reset these guys and have board wipe assurance. So what do I mean by board wipe assurance? So if Summon Titan is on the battlefield, let's say he's on Chapter 2, I've returned all lands from graveyard to the battlefield tapped, Nakara is sitting on the battlefield, I cast Yannick. Yannick will eat, well, not eat per se, but he'll exile him, distributing 7 power across the board. So I can distribute it to any number of creatures I have, making it so that if I end up getting board wiped, it only cares that they left the battlefield. It does not care if they died. So we say maybe there's some other creatures, they all die. I basically get a new hand, and when Yannick leaves the battlefield, Summon Titan rehits the battlefield. If some of my other creatures happen to be lands on some side or something else, we can reset them, and it sets up the next turn. Plus, if I recast Yannick, I can reset him yet again, making it so that I always have creatures with counters on them. And I've done some stuff with Rex Sage before, where I basically hide a creature with an ETB destroy effect underneath Yannick, so that if anyone ever removed him, I could basically it's like a Chekhov's gun kind of deal. Well, meet Primal Odin. Destroy target creature an opponent controls. If I hide him underneath Yannick, then you're set to go. And this isn't even the funniest thing I could be doing with this. So let's say I cast Mysterious Limousine. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile 1 target creature until he leaves the battlefield. If a creature is put in exile this way, each other card exiled with Mysterious Limousine enters the battlefield. So it enters the battlefield. I put my commander underneath the limousine. Put out Primal Odin. Next turn, I tap him to crew him. I swing. Primal Odin goes underneath the limousine. Oop. Yannick returns. I could even then grab the limousine, put it underneath Yannick. Primal Odin returns. It's kind of like a bag of holding deck where you just kind of shove something new into the bag and then something else pops out. And there's a couple different creatures that do some similar stuff like this. This one is kind of in my maybe board right now, but it also exiles a creature until he leaves the battlefield. Now, I know what some people will say, that one's a little weaker because it doesn't have the clause stapled together, it's 2 separate triggers. So when it goes to exile something, you could respond to it, blow up the Fiend Hunter, and then there's no leaves the battlefield. Well, there is the trigger, but it won't see that my creature's underneath it. So, yeah. So, in all, this is my Clerics deck getting reworked. In fact, it's getting split into 2 decks. Because I think that Clerics are honestly some of the most gross and disgusting creature types you could have in the whole game. But let me know if you guys play Blink strategies or something like that and you have some insight, because I would love some help kind of putting this together and kind of getting it balanced. If you got any picks, let me know.